Hey, what's up, everybody? We want to welcome you to another Jetracks session. I got Rylan Fisher here. My name is Joey Ebach, and today we want to talk to you about how to listen for song sections in toplining tracks. We get emails all the time from people who say, I love the tracks, I want to use them, but I just don't know how. I don't hear the sections like other people do. So we wanted to just talk about some key points that go into listening to the sections on toplining tracks and being able to determine what section is which and how to formulate a song about it. So Rylan Fisher is going to get us started here, and this is how to listen for song sections.
Yeah, the first step to learning to listen for song sections in a Jetracks toplining track is really becoming aware of common song structure used in most popular music. While there's a variety of song structures out there that popular music is written in, the most tried and true form by far is the form made up of intro, verse, possibly a pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge or a solo, one more chorus, and then the outro. Now, to note, there are a variety of variations of this common form that may either exclude a pre-chorus or exclude a bridge or solo section. Maybe the first verse is doubled. Maybe there's an excluded intro or outro, as well as starting on the chorus instead of the first verse. So when you listen to toplining tracks with this general structure and these different song sections in mind, you'll very quickly start picking up on this widely used form, even on the first listen of a track. So I'm going to hand the next section over to Joey, and he's going to talk about listening for those song section changes.
Yeah, so listening for song section changes in a toplining track, it really is simply a matter of being aware of the properties and elements of a track that drive those changes. Each section has a change in the feel or change in the properties or change in the elements. And there's some main parts that you'll hear change within the track. The first one is groove. The groove refers to the rhythm of the song section. This can include drums, percussion, as well as the rhythmic nature of the different instruments making up the section. A change in the groove or modifying the rhythm of the percussion or other instruments is a very common way to differentiate changes between song sections. It is one of the best ways to create movement and momentum throughout the length of a track. The second one is the chord progression. Now, the chord progression refers to the underlying harmonic succession of chords that creates the foundation and blueprint for a future vocal melody that will be placed on top of the track in a finished song. It's like G, D, E minor, C. So maybe your verse is G, D, E minor, C, which is a very common chord progression, but then all of a sudden the pre-chorus comes in and now it goes to the C to D, and it just goes back and forth between those two. And so you'll hear those changes in chord progressions. So chord progressions can change between sections in some cases and be indicators of a new song section. But that's not always the case in contemporary popular music. For many songs lately, especially in contemporary music, they'll use the same 4 chords throughout the song. So in those cases, you have to use some of the other indicators. So you would use things like rhythm or energy, which actually Rylan's going to talk about right now.
Yeah, so energy is another one of those drivers, and energy is a more broad concept in this context and can take many shapes and forms. This could be swells or whips being used as transitions to build into one section or break down into another section. Energy also refers to the mood of the track section in comparison to another section. And not always, but in many cases, you'll find that choruses in toplining tracks have much more energy in comparison to their accompanying verses. It's also worth noting that in many instances, the energy of the track from start to finish will tend to grow to give the song that a toplining track is written to the feeling of constant movement and momentum forward. Now, the fifth property that we want to talk about is sonic width or depth. Sonic width and depth refer to the space that the instrumentation is filling overall in a toplining track, or on the other hand, the space that the instrumentation is not filling. A wider, more upfront sonic width in a section following a more narrow sonic width is a very common indicator of a chorus section, whereas a deeper, more spacious sonic depth might indicate a verse, a bridge, an intro or outro, or even what's known as a down chorus or a half down chorus. And final element we want to discuss is instrumentation. Now, instrumentation refers to the compilation and orchestration of the actual recorded instruments being played together in a given song section. It's very common to find a sparser, lighter instrumentation in a verse, whereas a chorus will likely have additional instrumentation to create a bigger, more musical overall sound.
So basically what we've talked about so far is that toplining tracks generally have a basic structure. It's going to have your intro, verse, chorus. And as you listen through the track, you want to listen for those changes that we talked about. You want to listen for a groove change, maybe an added instrument, maybe a lot of instrumentation, sonic width and depth. You want to listen, does the recording get wider? Do the electric guitars come in for the chorus and just all of a sudden it sounds like the sound is outside of your speakers, outside on the sides of your speakers. You want to listen for an increase of energy. Does the song get bigger in a certain section? Well, in those sections, it might be changing into a new section. And you don't have to necessarily wonder what that section is, because if you're following the normal pattern for commercial music, then you can say, this next section is probably a chorus because I just had a verse and I just had an intro. Or this section is probably verse 1 because I hear a change here and I just got done with the intro. You can listen for those changes in the sections and follow that general map to know where you're at in the song and where you should place your verses, choruses, bridges, etc.
Okay, and there's one more section we want to talk about before we wrap, and that's making adjustments as necessary. In some cases, you may need to modify a track that you've licensed through Jetracks because your song needs a couple more verse lines, or because you wrote a slightly shorter chorus that you're really confident in. Well, there's no problem there. All you have to do is drop the track in any DAW, regardless of the file type you are using. And you can easily use your DAW to start editing the track to suit your needs. All Jetracks toplining tracks are recorded to a metronome, so there will never be an issue if you need to do some splicing or editing to suit your song perfectly. And depending on your DAW, the track may import tempo information for you to make this even easier. If not, you can use a simple BPM detector app available on iPhone or Android.
And actually, all Jetracks tracks give you the tempo. It's listed on the info section for the track, so you would know the BPM for any Jetracks track. And just a reminder, a DAW, if you don't know what that is, it's GarageBand, Logic, Pro Tools, any of those recording softwares. Well, hey, we want to thank you guys for joining us today. We hope this has been helpful for you. If you ever have any questions about a track or about hearing sections in a track or anything songwriting related, toplining related, any of that, feel free to reach out to us at info@jetracks.com. My name is Joey. This is Rylan Fisher. We appreciate you listening to this Jetracks session. Don't forget to subscribe below. We'll catch you next time.